Step 3, you grow hard about what you want to be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up.
Welcome to Tales from the Field. My name is Bradley Ball, and we are back and better than ever. It is so good to have you with us. Last week we didn't have a lot of videos to release. We had an Azure Data Community Roundtable, but I've got something I've been working on for a little over a week now that we're going to drop on Wednesday. And this Monday, Daniel Taylor was back with Azure Database Watcher for Azure SQL, how to monitor the performance on your Azure SQL databases. You want to make sure and check that out. This is going to be one of the most revolutionary technologies that we've got for Azure SQL that we've had in quite some time to be able to monitor and look at these things. So make sure you head over to the Tales from the Field channel and check that out. So much to do, so much to see. You don't want to miss a thing. If this is the first time you're finding your way over to our Tales from the Field channel, give us a like and give us a subscribe. We drop content on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. On Monday, we have an MS Tech Bits. On Wednesday, we have an MS Tech Bits, which is a video where we're inspired by you, the community, and we're dropping a little bit of knowledge and information. And then on Tuesday, which is today, we have the Azure Data Community Roundtable, where we are celebrating you, the Azure Data community. And what do we want you to do? Well, we've got a quick call to action. First off, we want to hear from you. We want to keep the conversation going. Any questions you've got, any feedback you've got, just comment on the live stream, and one of my amazing co-hosts will be able to add it, and you will be a part of the show. Speaking of those amazing co-hosts, I am joined by the mountain man, Mr. Daniel Taylor. Mr. Josh Luedeman is out on vacation this week. I have the best beard in the business with Mr. Andreas Padilla. And then we have Robin Hood himself, Mr. Marco Cardoso. And then, well, you know, it's summertime, but I believe in Ted Lasso. And more than anything, I believe in this man very strongly. And that's your friend of mine, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri. Another quick call to action. We want you to be a part of the Azure Data community. And the way that you do that is that you would head over. Oh, I just realized. Because I had some technical issues in the pre-show, I did not share my screen. So let me go ahead and do that. And then I can tell you about the Azure Data Community, where we've got our website over on Microsoft.com. And we want you to come there, find a local user group, participate with the local user group. It's a great way to be able to connect within your community. Some of us have given presentations most recently at our local user group. I was over at SQL Saturday Orlando, or at the Orlando user group recently. Dan was over in Tampa. And there's multiple virtual user groups that we've got presentations planned for coming up as well. It's a great way to interact and a great way to join and be a part of that community. Next up, what do we want you to do? We want you to get some free training, and there's no better place in the world to go than SQL Saturday. At SQL Saturday, you're going to have a host of volunteers from the Azure Data community, some of the top consultants in the field, Microsoft employees coming, and you'll have pre-cons for these events that you could get at a fraction of the price that you normally pay for at a big conference. So you want to make sure and go and check out your SQL Saturday.com events that are coming up near you. Also, don't forget about Data Saturday. Some of these are virtual, some of these are in person, but we have events happening around the world: Stockholm, Croatia, the Rhineland, Brisbane, South Island. Andreas, we need to hit this up. We are doing it wrong, buddy. We need to take some good vacations and head over to Data Saturday and check out the rest of the world. They got it going on over there.
1,000%. Yeah.
Speaking of the rest of the world, this is exciting news. This has been launched, and the European Microsoft Fabric Community Conference is going to be live in Stockholm from the 24th through the 27th of September, 2024. This is going to be a big deal. We had the Microsoft Community Conference. Over 4,000 people descended on Las Vegas to be able to share in community and get all these wonderful presentations. This is going to be put together. The product group is going to be there. We're going to be there. Fingers crossed we're going to be there. And this is going to be a wonderful event, a wonderful time, and talk about an amazing city. I mean, we definitely need to represent Tales from the Field mighty good over there. And one last thing, of course, if you're looking to learn about Microsoft Fabric, go over and join our Microsoft Fabric Learning channel. Microsoft Fabric Learning channel has close to 3,000 members. We have constant questions, but we also have wonderful people like Mr. Kevin Chant, Mr. Maurici Carassi. And as a matter of fact, Maurici's vlog is going to be featured today on the roundtable. So if you're creating content, please go post it in the channel, because sometimes we go and we pull our content to be able to help celebrate the creators in the community, specifically from that channel that we're all a part of. Whew. All right, Andreas, talk to me, Goose. That was a lot. My voice needs a rest. How you doing? How was your weekend?
The weekend was excellent. I was up in Philly. My wife's nephew graduated from high school. I haven't seen a high school party this big. It's like a movie, these high school kids, the way they party. Man, I was in bed by 9 o'clock. I couldn't take it. They were up till making noise till 3. So
I got to say, my first advice is going to be we shouldn't be partying with the high schoolers, man. So, I'm not sure, but I want to say there may be a code of conduct violation. I mean, so you were in bed by 9:30, so you're probably pretty safe. Yeah. Hey, our good buddy Josh Luedeman is out in the chat. Josh is on a road trip right now. Hello to Josh. Hello to Erica. We love you both. We hope you're having a good time out there. Dan says, what's up? Marco, way to go with the jokes, man. I love it. The man in the chat. Well done. You just made my little dad joke heart tingle right there.
Could not help myself. Sorry.
And Dan, fingers crossed. I've dusted off my passport. Yeah, I want to make sure that we get our passports ready. I've never been to Stockholm. I would love to go to Stockholm. What an amazing trip that would be. And Neeraj, I thought Josh was abducted by aliens like his hat. Josh has missed out on all of that because he's not paying attention to the work chat. But the second I let people know he was out on vacation, immediately people said that they assumed he had been abducted by aliens, and inflowed a host of wonderful ChatGPT created images of a man in a hat running from aliens, sometimes eating donuts with aliens. It was very strange. I wasn't sure about all of them, but they were fantastic. Josh, if the aliens have you, just enter into the comments. I'm not sure there's anything we can do about it. I can make a fabric report to document that you've been abducted. That's about it. That's the extent of my powers. I have no pull. But speaking of someone with amazing superpowers and the capability to astound us all, I'm talking about none other than the man himself, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, copied data from Lakehouse into another workspace using a data pipeline. Neeraj, what have we got going on here?
So, I mean, this was one of the interesting articles that I found. I had a customer who was asking, like, can I move my data from one lakehouse to another lakehouse? And I was like, how do I do it? And then that's where I was like, okay, let me find something out. And this was a post that we just introduced up, saying how you can copy data from a lakehouse, from one lakehouse to another one in using a data pipeline. So what you need to do is in your pipelines, in the connection section, there is a section called use dynamic content. And in your dynamic content, you go and put down the parameters to your next lakehouse that you want to go and do it up, and boom, all your data from one lakehouse to another lakehouse can be copied up there. I mean, personally, the use cases that I would say is different environments that you're managing it out, or if you want just a subset of data just for POC purpose and all that stuff, that might be a good use case for you to use moving data from one lakehouse to another, like dev, QA, something like that. You can still do it up that.
Well, and it's very interesting because I think it's if you want a copy of that data, right? Because if you've got multiple workspaces that are that have lake houses, we should be able to shortcut across them, correct? I know I've done that before.
Yep.
So it's only if you need a copy of that data. But the nice thing would be, I guess, this would allow if you need a copy of that data to exist in isolation of one another. Sometimes people need a snapshot of data. I can think of a lot of situations in different industry environments where we would need a snapshot from a point in time of data. And then you could take that snapshot and you could copy it over. Probably some interesting use cases we could figure out there. That's some really neat stuff. Speaking of neat stuff, I'm going to go over to our good friend, Jared over on the Data Bard. You want to make sure and check out Jared Kuhn. So Jared is going to be speaking at Live 360. As a matter of fact, a lot of us got our announcements, and I am very excited for the Tales for the Field folks to be at Live 360. And you're going to see Jared there as well. So he's got a really interesting use case where he found an error that was nondescript where he got an error on trying to allow a null value on a non-nullable column, but it actually came back with a different column type. I love it when the community finds stuff like this, because there are those different scenarios where we cannot find all of this ourselves. I connected with some good friends over on the product group, and this is going to be something we're looking into, because clearly this is not the behavior that we would like to find. But so first off, kudos to Jared. And if you've had this error where you have an insert you're attempting to do on a column that is set to not null, and you're trying to, and a null value somehow gets inserted, one of the things, it may be nondescript, and sometimes that's a problem, right? Because we want those error messages to be very descriptive, so that way we know what's going on, and we know how those things are functioning. So kudos, Jared. Thanks for finding that. We appreciate the hard work and the testing you've got doing over there. Josh says, please, no alien probes. Josh, I don't think that makes for a good vacation. So hopefully not. Marco says, what is this, 3 in a row? This guy rocks. Okay, well, speaking of someone who rocks, I want to head over to this next man. It's a little odd for me not seeing Josh, feeling that every single compliment is about him. I just, the animated features, I feel like somebody should be over there, like, somebody might need to do that in the background. So let me talk about an incredible person that I'm being very nondescript about. They have a beard, they have facial hair. Neeraj is out on this one. And they are stunning and amazing. And of course, you know who I'm talking about, Mr. Daniel Taylor, the best solution for SQL Server partitioning sliding window. Dan, what have we got going on over here?
Yeah, I couldn't be a male model, so I ended up here. Eaton Blumen, I hope I'm pronouncing that correct, has made my life easy. I had a question about a sliding window, and it had been eons since I have deployed a sliding window. So I was like, let me see if somebody's put something out there. Eaton here goes through, and he calls it the best possible solution. And I love that. I love the confidence in putting this out there, and provides us with a generic solution of how we can create a partitioning sliding window within SQL Server. Goes through partition functions, goes through the different considerations when creating these new partition ranges, right? There's considerations that we need to keep in mind there. Considerations when eliminating old partition ranges, goes through the different stored procedures that have been put together here, goes through the partition management split, which is always important when we want to do that sliding window, and then getting rid of it, the partition management purge, so that we're not moving data, and then some further examples down here below, and then deploying the automatic sliding window. What I love most about this is, one, is providing us with a free script out there in GitHub. Of course, always test these scripts, folks. When we put them out there, when folks put them out there, they're not, they may be bug free, but there could be bugs in them that are specific to your environment. So always test these out. But also, I love that Eaton here provided us with a sliding window maintenance and basically shared it up for free to the community. And that's really huge. It saved me a ton of time and effort, and huge kudos there. Also, huge kudos to DataBard for finding that thing. The stuff.
I agreed. Always good. Yeah. So I accidentally posted from the Tails account, but this was me. Dan Taylor male model. That was the backup plan. I could see it.
Yeah, it was.
I could see you on a 30-story skyscraper in New York doing a Calvin Klein ad.
But look, I just met a lot of people at SQL Saturday at Atlanta and Jacksonville, and I told everybody I was 53. By the way, my kind wife looked at me and said, "You idiot, you're 54." And so everybody there, I'm 54, and 54 years on this planet, I have been looking for aliens, and Josh gets abducted by one, and he doesn't even look for him. So anyhow.
I got to tell you, Dan, the only thing that would be worse was if he got abducted by Bigfoot. I mean, you would have been missing out left and right.
Been looking for him too.
I know, it's terrible. It's, I don't know if I told you all this, but there was the year that I think I turned 45. I don't know why I was so focused on turning 46 the next year that halfway through the year I forgot I was 45 and I started saying I was 46. And we sat down for dinner one night in September. And my wife told we're talking about it, and I go, "Yeah, I can't believe this is my 47th birthday." And she goes, "Honey, you're 45. It's going to be your 46th birthday." And I went, "Oh my God." And I got up and I was so happy from dinner. And she goes, "Why are you so happy?" I had a little pep. I said, "Are you kidding me? I sat down and I was 46. I got up and I was 45. I mean, how many times is that going to ever happen at dinner? I gained a year." Now, conversely, when I got to my 47th birthday, I told her, I said, "I thought I was 46 for a year and a half. It's really weird to me to add a new number on here. I've never been this old this long in my life." Speaking of things that defy time and understanding, we have another great link from another great man, the best beer in the business, Mr. Andreas Padilla. We have Advancing AIs, a beginner's guide to ML flow. Andreas, what have we got going on here?
Oh, this actually, I stumbled upon this the other day, and the reason was because I got a question from a customer that really wanted to dive deep into the differences of ML flow versus in Azure ML versus ML flow in Databricks. And we went on and we started analyzing, different tracking, register the different algorithms that you can do with ML flow. But I stumbled upon this, and this is a great article or video by Gavita Ruganath. And thank you so much for putting this out there. There's a link in there to the MLOps Gym Beginner's Guide. Man, this thing is a little diamond nugget. Not only does this video showcase how to get going with ML Flow in Databricks, how to start building out your tracking so you can track what's going on in your experiments, how to register a model to your artifact store, how to get how to start setting up a notebook, what's going on with auto logging, what's going on with the different the container registry and Unity catalog versus the model registry. I mean the Unity catalog model registry, but the workspace model registry. There's a ton of good knowledge in here. But what I like is that they've simplified it. They've made it easy to grasp. It's super adoptable, this whole article. In 10 minutes, you'll know, and you'll get more out of this article for ML Flow than I've gotten from other articles. So this is a win in terms of ML Flow getting started with ML Flow and Databricks. Love it.
I was gonna say this sounds fantastic, and it's really important because there's so many different technologies. AI is emerging as such an important one. Understanding how to be able to utilize these different things, contrast and compare them, that's really key. So great job to the good folks over at AI Analytics sorry, I'm fumbling this. I was not on the right entry, but Advancing AI. I see them. They always have a booth whenever they're at SQL Bits. There are so many wonderful people. Well done on the banner too. I'm not sure who did that, but in Josh's absence, well done, because I know it's normally him poking that needle. Beautiful job, team. Well, way to step up in Josh's absence, and also kudos to the Advancing AI folks for not just the community support, but the wonderful videos as well. And speaking of absolutely wonderful things, well, it's always wonderful to see this man and to hear from him, because I learn and I gain a perspective that is not my own. And you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about the one and only Mr. Marco Cardoso. 7 takeaways from a year of building generative AI responsibility at scale. I think I may have your title beat, but that is a very, very close one to longest title. Marco just keeps throwing those haymakers at me. I appreciate it. Keep me loose, keep me limber. What do we got going on here?
Yeah, so Brad, this is a very cool article. First of all, I love reading about responsible AI. I like how it brings together the tech world and the non-technical aspects of building with AI. But one thing that frustrates me a lot when reading about it is it's often very generic. So we talk about putting people first. We talk about being responsible. We talk about harmful content, but we don't really land it into anything. So this article puts it in very simple terms, 7 points here that they make about responsible AI and what we learned throughout a year developing with generative AI that really makes sense and grounded these contents. So some of these are as simple as tell people where information comes from. When you're generating with AI, tell them where you're generating with AI. By the way, at the end of this article, you'll see a disclaimer saying, hey, the images were generated with AI. Things like put the tools to review content in the hands of the people. So if you're giving people content that might be incorrect, give them the sources. Tell them how this works. Make sure that your users understand that. So each one of these is super easy to understand. It has links to other content, even content that we featured here before, to really land these concepts of responsible AI. It's really bite-sized, really good content linked here. I think this is a great start. So if you're starting to read up on responsible AI, this is an amazing place to start.
Well, and I got to tell you, I really love number 6, which was expect people to break things. And I
Oh, yes.
remember as a developer, like back before I was often doing data projects and data work, I would always talk to other developers and I would go, we build something and users find the most creative and inventive ways to use the product that we never intended. And that's absolutely right, because often you'll have iterations on development where you're collecting requirements and it's, well, we need this now, or we're using this but we really need it this way. And so many things happen when you're live. And if you think of it, everybody talks about AI as data, and that's a big part of it. You have to absorb data, and it's giving us information that we want to collect as data, but it's an application program interface. And there's very much an application mindset that you have to have in there, which is people are going to break things. And that is just a fundamental truth that you should have in mind when you're developing this.
Absolutely. And breaking things has become just a lot more fun with generative AI when you're actually trying to convince an AI to generate content that shouldn't be generated. So that's become a really interesting field of research.
You're not wrong. I was trying to get a wanted poster for Josh Luedeman, and it would not let me generate his face. It said that may be a code of conduct violation. I tried uploading a picture of him, still wouldn't do it. And I went, good on you, AI. Good on you for not abusing it. But now I have to, contract somebody out to make that wanted poster with his image. That's okay. I can get around it. Just takes a little bit of time and money. And speaking of things that take time but are incredibly impressive to understand how to do, I'm talking about this from our next host, Mr. Neeraj Jhaveri, introducing external data sharing, a new way to collaborate across Fabric tenants. I said across too many times. Introducing external data sharing, a new way to collaborate across Fabric tenants.
If you said twice across, then I can win the biggest title. That probably might be.
Crisscross across.
So before I go up, do we want to give some random ransom money to Josh, or we just want to leave him up there?
Oh, that's a good point. You know what? I don't even know.
For 3 weeks, couple of weeks up there.
I was going to say, I don't know that the aliens actually accept dollars, and it's a very good point, because we'll come right back to the article. But next week we don't have a roundtable. Next week we have our live stream with the Fabric product group.
Oh yeah,
where we're going to be talking about Microsoft Fabric updates. Also, next week is Build Week. Microsoft Build, free to attend online. There's going to be some big announcements. I know about a couple big announcements that are going to be happening that are going to be a lot of fun. I can't say anything. I've been sworn to secrecy, and they told me that they'd cut off my pinky toe. I'm not sure that it does anything, but I want to keep it where it is.
You don't need that.
That's what I said, but then they said you'll fall over a lot easier, and I went, oh, I don't want to do that. It's not time for that yet. I'm saving that for my 80s. But anyway, but new and exciting stuff. Microsoft Build. Make sure and head over to the Microsoft Build website. Sign up. It is free, and you will be able to have access to the virtual conference and all of the virtual sessions. Sorry, back over to this. And I think we don't know what monetary system the aliens use, so they're going to have to hold on to Josh until we can get some type of negotiation process going. Nobody's reached out to us yet.
Yep. So going back to this article, data sharing. So one, I just was talking about how to do the lake house moving up there. But other thing is, how do you move the data completely, like the one lake data, into a different lake house or different one lake? So in this article, they just introduced into public preview the data sharing option, which is called external data sharing. One thing that you need to do is get started. Before getting started, you need to go to your admin portal and make sure that you checkbox allow users to accept the external sharing. Once you do that, you can just go into your one lake and then do a external sharing, send a link to that individual tenant that you want to send it out, and in that tenant they have to go and accept, and the data would start flowing into it. So if you follow the steps, you can cross tenant share the data of your one lake. I mean, same use cases. If you have multiple tenants that you want to monitor and just keep time snapshot data or something like that, this would be a good use case for you to use it.
Well, and that's fantastic advice, right? Because realistically, many times we say that, people have an individual capability to be able to have just one tenant. But there are many companies out there where have a merger, or another company is purchased and they already had a tenant. And now you have multiple tenants in your organization and you're doing some type of data integration. But there are realistic scenarios where you have multiple tenants and you've got to figure out, how do we cross collaborate with that data? It is fantastic that we have in public preview the capability to do that. So you want to make sure and check that out. Quick reminder, all of the links for the content that we are showing are already in the description of the video. So if you are looking for any of this wonderful content, please go check it out. I've got my own entry for longest title of the week: exploring Python libraries for data engineering in MS Fabric, Pandas, Polaris, DBDuck, and PySpark. I don't know if I got it or not, but I feel like this was a pretty good swing to be able to do this. And this is a great article by Marissa Kowalski. And what it is looking at these different libraries, which I love. Many of us know Pandas, but you might not be as familiar with Polars and with DuckDB. And so I love it that Maurice just goes through this, takes a look at how we can utilize these different things. He's got a couple demos with some nice data. Of course, we look at Pandas, we look at Python comparisons. And then what we do is we slowly work into Polars. And Polars is written in Rust. So interesting stuff is it can utilize all available CPU cores in parallel, which with Pandas, it's more serial in nature. DuckDB, high performance analytical database system designed to be fast and reliable. I haven't played around with this in a Python notebook, but I am going to play around with this because I thought this was really, really cool. And it was neat to look at how to be able to utilize this. Looking at multi-file testing as well. This was just a great article. And just to summarize it, there's a lot of potentials. One of the sessions I love to do is harnessing the power of Microsoft Fabric notebooks. And I'm constantly changing up the notebooks that I've got in there based off the new and the fun things that we've found that we can do with the system. The notebook environment is incredibly powerful. Probably one of the best notebook experiences I've ever had in a Microsoft product, just hands down. And speaking of great experiences, I saw this. I was immediately intrigued, excited, a little confused, but also very, very excited. And of course, I'm talking about what Mr. Daniel Taylor brought to the table: Microsoft Fabric Monitoring with Metrics Apps and Data Activator by Ron Lesteve. What have we got going on here?
Yeah, so I'm reaching out to my ancient alien theorist from the show, Ancient Aliens, to find out what type of monetary system you like. So keep your ears open, okay. Because ancient alien theorists would speculate that if we use Microsoft Fabric Monitoring with Metrics App and Data Activator, we can look at how we're utilizing our Fabric space. So here, Ron and Steve goes through about, well, we have an issue, right? What is the issue? If we enable Fabric,
I don't think we get to put that evil on Ron and Steve, Ricky Bobby. You gotta roll back the ancient alien stuff. So what have we got going on here with the blog?
No, I'm obsessed with aliens, folks. Space aliens. So enabling Fabric and Power BI. So what's the problem? So we enable Fabric and Power BI Premium, and we have no way to really look at our Fabric capacity and our metrics in the Azure portal. So here Ron provides us with a solution, and it's a two-part solution. First thing we need to do is we need to install our metrics app, and we need to use Data Activator. And Ron goes through the process of installing the metrics app, then understanding the metrics app, right? There's a couple pages there that we need to understand, the storage and the compute pages. Once we get an understanding around that, and Ron does a great job of walking through that, we need to enable our Data Activator. Ron goes through enabling data activator, and I love that he has this little picture there with my workspace. I think that's awesome. And then Ron steps through the activating of, or the installing and the process of getting our data activator ready for creating alerts. And then he wraps it up with customizing the metrics app. So we could look at our semantic model and we could even customize this further to meet our environment needs. So a really great article. I want to walk through this. I stumbled upon this yesterday, I think it was, when it came out, and I haven't had a chance to test this, but I think there's some awesome future for looking at this and for folks who want to understand their capacity that they're using within their environment, their Fabric environment.
Oh, I just grabbed this. This makes me think of something that Bradley Ashat and I are working on a video about capacity metrics, but I've not seen data activator used in this particular way. And I think this is fantastic. I think this is a great use case to be able to get people on board for this, because people are already looking for, how do I get alerts from the different items that I have and the different capacities that I'm utilizing. There's a lot of work going on behind the covers and gathering customer requirements to understand, how do we give some customers who want it more granular control to be able to make sure that we're not robbing from DW to pay Spark or vice versa. And so I think the first thing that you need to do is have a very solid understanding of the capacity you're utilizing, because one of those charts may look like it has a big burst, but it's from the perspective of overall activity. And then when you look at the consumption units, you might just be using a fraction of that. Even looking at the consumption units on Ron's display, it looked like the majority of what he was working on was only at about 75%. And then he had burst where there was probably some smoothing going on where he went up above 100%. And probably for those workloads, you want to make sure that you understand that. But I mean, like a capacity unit is one of those things you want to be using the majority of it, so you're not leaving money on the table. So it's very important to understand those things. But as customers work to scale up and scale down, those alerts are going to be very valuable. I love that, Dan. Great stuff.
And I haven't found a reason to use Data Activator yet, to be very honest. And this gives me an opportunity to go, oh, this is how I can use Data Activator a little bit.
Excellent. Okay, so next up, I have, again, best bear in the business, Mr. Andreas Padilla, navigating the generative AI divide, open source versus closed source solutions. Very interesting stuff that we've got going on here. Bernard Marr, what does Bernard bring to us, Andreas?
Oh, Bernard brought together a great conversational piece to a current customer that I'm dealing with right now, and they're a big industrial manufacturing edge company. They do a lot of robotics. And one of the questions they ask, hey, should I be considering open source or should I be considering, closed source and what, Microsoft has internally? And then I stumbled upon this article by Bernard, and I'm like, wow, this is a great conversations piece. And it helped with the customer because I was able to talk to him about the pros and cons of, hey, if you go open source, you get certain advantages from there. There could be cost advantages. There could be it could be a little bit more flexible. How the AI model was built. If you go closed source, you get a little bit more of, hey, I'm responsible for what this model delivers, i.e., if you're buying that model or purchasing it through Microsoft or AWS or just, as pay as you go, or Google, they're responsible for making sure that it's up and running, that what the prediction that comes out is more than likely going to be the prediction. They're also responsible for the security that's in there, that no data is leaking out. So the point here in this article is that when considering AI models that are open source versus closed source, there are some factors to be considered. Costs, how dynamic it can be, how flexible. Do I want to take a peek inside and see how the model was built? Security implications. These are questions that customers are starting to ask. Do I go open source or do I just go through what they offer me inside an AWS portal or Microsoft portal?
No, that's really good stuff. I love understanding, what those different models will offer. It's a key thing that customers have to decide upon when they're going to say, hey, I'm going to implement this, right? In the end, we've got to pick a model and we've got to go with it. And speaking of great models, Marco, you shared some really, really cool information internally on our team chat about things that were new and available. And man, does that lead us into the last link that we have, which I just found was absolutely fantastic. OpenAI's new GPT-4 immediately available in Azure Playground by David Ramel. Marco, take it home for me, my friend. What do we got going on?
Yeah, Brad, you know what? Yesterday when this was announced, I was 100% certain that there would not be a blog out in time for for Tuesday Roundtable. But it's here. I was happily mistaken. So David very quickly put together this blog to announce this amazing thing that is the new 4.0 model in OpenAI's GPT. So that is the new model that they're considering their flagship. So this blog contains all the new information and the new capabilities of these models, including faster models, so faster predictions. You've got a cheaper model. They're eventually going to make this available for everybody at all the free users of the OpenAI platform. So I found that amazing. I don't know how they do it, but I hope they keep doing it. You've got better language understanding in different languages. So if you, like me, have been testing this model for languages other than English, you'll be pleasantly surprised. We've got better token usage for other languages, enhanced analytical capabilities. And this model, the O stands for Omni. So this is a model that understands not just text, but also images and audio. If you've seen the announcement for OpenAI, this is really amazing stuff. The speed, the quality of predictions, it's all coming together into a very interesting experience. So if you've got Azure OpenAI in one of the supported regions, I think right now we've got it in East US and West US 3. Go check it out. It's been made available for everybody in those two regions as a public preview. Just got to get into the early access playground and you can play around with this. Really interesting stuff. I tested it out with the old Windows XP background. I found out it's called Bliss, and that's the model told me about that. It immediately recognized the image, tells me about it, and creates a much more engaging experience. I'm really, really excited about this. I've been testing it ever since it got announced, and this blog contains a little bit more information about it.
And Marco, we've talked a bit about tokens lately. How many tokens are available with this model?
So right now during preview, you're limited to, I think it's 5 requests per minute. So it's really tight just for you to test and understand the functionality. But later we expect the limits in terms of quota to be up to 5 times larger than the old GPT-4 Turbo. So putting the GPUs to even better use with a more efficient, more capable model. This is what this is all about.
Cheaper, faster, better. I mean,
what's
look,
not to like?
I was going to say you're checking every box. Speaking of what's not to like, it seems like the cookies on the last 2 websites know me very well. Apparently, I like chicken pasta. I like electric vehicles, and I absolutely love Live 360. One of the things to check out right here is there is early bird pricing, swimming in the lakes of fabric and AI, a hands-on experience. That looks like probably one of the pre-cons that's going on. We're going to have pre-cons going on as well. I'm looking forward to looking at this a little bit more. We just sent in our acceptance recently, so you want to make sure you check out Live 360 in Orlando. That's it for us this week. Just a couple things to cover, right? I'm still working this out, but I've got a user group of parents that I'm going to have online. I'll make sure and share details with that. But I'm just working with the leadership. I've had some stuff come up at the last minute, some family kid stuff, band concerts that I didn't know about that I want to make sure that I'm there for. All good stuff. And they're being very gracious to work with me. And then we've got SQL Saturday South Florida coming up. Deanna, have you submitted to that one?
I have submitted. Brad Chat submitted. So hopefully, fingers crossed, a couple of us get accepted down there. I know David Seiss has submitted from the folks that we know from the Tampa Bay scene. So yeah. Hopefully.
Oh, David Seitz, amazing guy, helped us out a lot when we were on our pre-con up in Jacksonville, and David is just fantastic people. If you see him, smart as whip too. You want to make sure and check him out in South Florida.
Yeah, if I could make one note about the Tampa Bay SQL Server user group right there. We've moved. We're growing leaps and bounds. The group is getting much larger. We're getting back to the numbers that we've had before, and we are now in the K-Force building. So when you sign up for Sessionize, folks, if you're in the Tampa Bay area or you go to the user group, make sure you check out that we've moved locations. We're not at the old one. We're at the new one. So check it out on Sessionize.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. Remember, sign up for Future Data Driven. It is coming soon, and it is an absolutely wonderful conference. And remember, November, the week before Thanksgiving, there's no other place you want to be than live in the beautiful grounds of the wow, Josh says it so often, I forgot the name of the hotel, the Lowe's Royal Pacific Resort and Conference Center on the beautiful grounds of Universal Studio. Very close by is a Voodoo Donut that has a bacon and donuts, Josh's two loves. We clearly miss our good buddy, but that's okay. Remember, next week we are off for the roundtable, but we will be here with our Fabric Product Group live stream. And then the week after that, we are taking a week off for Memorial Day, and we're going to enjoy some good downtime with family, and hopefully some barbecuing. Anybody else have anything else? No? Okay. Well, hey, for Mr. Daniel Taylor, Andreas Padilla, Neeraj Jhaveri, and Marco Cardoso, thank you so much for joining us on Tales from the Field. Be good to one another out there. See you, everybody. You show yourself a foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes temptation. I know that.